The story begins in Dallas, where psychic medium Manfred Bernardo conducts a session for Rachel, who contacts her deceased husband Harold about a new relationship. Harold's enraged spirit possesses Manfred and attempts to harm Rachel before Manfred expels the ghost. After Rachel leaves, a creditor named Hightower demands money, forcing Manfred to flee Dallas immediately. Manfred drives toward Midnight, Texas, accompanied by his deceased grandmother Zilda's ghost, who assures him he'll be safe there. Upon arrival, he finds a peculiar, largely abandoned town with unfriendly locals. He meets Bobo Winthrop at Midnight Pawn, who offers him a rental house and asks for help finding his missing fiancée Aubrey in exchange for free rent. Manfred declines. At Home Cookin' Restaurant, he meets waitress Creek Lovell and later encounters Lemuel, a vampire who feeds on energy rather than blood. That night, Aubrey's ghost appears in Manfred's rental house, desperately seeking help. The house proves severely haunted with demonic energy, forcing Manfred to flee to his RV. At the town's fall picnic, Aubrey's body is discovered at the river's edge. Sheriff Livingston investigates and forbids anyone from leaving town. The autopsy reveals she died from a gunshot and drowning. The sheriff informs Bobo that Aubrey was actually Aubrey Hamilton Lowry, married to Peter Lowry, a white supremacist biker recently released from prison. Manfred allows Aubrey's spirit to guide him to evidence. He leads Sheriff Livingston to the murder weapon submerged in water, proving his psychic abilities. Meanwhile, assassin Olivia Charity interrogates Manfred, demanding to know if his father sent him. Lemuel intervenes, explaining, Midnight is a haven for supernatural beings and declaring Manfred one of them. The Sons of Lucifer bikers attack Midnight Pawn, blaming Bobo for Aubrey's death and demanding hidden weapons and money. Lemuel, Olivia, and Bobo efficiently eliminate the biker threat using their supernatural abilities and combat skills. Sheriff Livingston arrests Bobo based on evidence. As officers attempt to leave, Witch Fiji Kavanaugh levitates and crushes the police cruiser with magic. Manfred promises to prove Bobo's innocence, convincing Fiji to release the vehicle. Joe Strong reveals himself as an angel who has watched over Midnight for centuries. Manfred returns to find his house completely overtaken by malevolent spirits and demonic forces, making it uninhabitable and forcing him to stay in his RV while committed to helping prove Bobo's innocence. The story begins 24 hours earlier with Manfred taking painkillers while questioning Zilda about sending him to a haunted house instead of a quiet retreat. Zilda explained she wanted him to have people in his life and stop pretending to be normal. The action shifts to the present, where Manfred and Creek flee from an unseen predator. Manfred has claw marks across his side. They take refuge in his RV, where Creek tends his wounds before the creature violently rocks the vehicle and tears through the roof. Flashing back, the Midnighters gather while Bobo remains in custody. They worry about Fiji's display of power drawing attention. Manfred explains his ghost problem, and they agree to help in exchange for his assistance clearing Bobo by communicating with Aubrey's spirit. At the sheriff's station, Bobo maintains his innocence despite the murder weapon being registered to him. Officer Gomez places him in a cell with 4 Sons of Lucifer bikers, expecting them to intimidate him. Instead, Bobo defeats all 4, hospitalizing them. The next morning, Sheriff Livingston suspends Gomez for her reckless action. The diving team discovers a Sons of Lucifer jacket with Aubrey's hair caught in the zipper, exonerating Bobo. The sheriff releases him and identifies Peter Lowry as a person of interest. In Midnight, Fiji arrives to conduct a seance at Manfred's house. She notices a powerful medallion on his door and begins the exorcism. However, a demon named Kolkana reveals itself, throwing Manfred out and pinning Fiji to the floor while assaulting her. Manfred retrieves Zilda's skull and invokes his ancestors, banishing the demon temporarily. As Kolkana is expelled, it establishes a psychic connection with Fiji, promising their encounter isn't over. Reverend Sheehan confides in Olivia about unusual anxiety regarding the approaching full moon. He normally locks himself in the storm cellar with cattle, but senses something different this time. Olivia secures him as planned. Officer Gomez arrives for unauthorized surveillance. She breaks the cellar chains and discovers the Reverend has transformed into a weretiger. Despite firing multiple shots, the creature drags her back and kills her. With the weretiger loose, Lemuel and Olivia track it through town. Manfred and Creek encounter the beast, which attacks Manfred before they flee to his RV. Manfred and Joe contact Aubrey's spirit. Through possession, Aubrey shows Manfred her final memories, taking a walk after fighting with Bobo, being attacked from behind with her own gun, and drowning over 3 days. Her killer wore a skull mask and Sons of Lucifer jacket. Manfred shares this with Sheriff Livingston, who orders expanded diving operations. Lemuel and Olivia contain the weretiger before it claims more victims. The Midnighters stage Gomez's death as a car accident. Joe reveals an ancient prophecy about an army led by a man who can bridge both worlds to seal the veil forever. He believes Manfred is this prophesied leader, suggesting his arrival was destiny rather than chance. The story opens with Manfred and Creek's relationship becoming intimate, though Creek appears conflicted. After spending the night together, she leaves citing her father's disapproval. As she walks home, a tour bus arrives carrying vampires led by Zachariah, who moves to attack Creek. Lemuel intervenes, recognizing Zachariah as an old friend who claims to have reformed and seeks to establish a home in Midnight with his vampire companions. Despite Lemuel's assurances, the other Midnighters remain suspicious, especially Olivia. Fiji educates residents about vampire vulnerabilities. Garlic and holy water are ineffective, but sunlight, silver bullets, and wooden stakes work. Joe confesses to Reverend Sheehan that he's a fallen angel who has been on Earth for over a millennium. He plans to leave Midnight with his husband Chewie because of the increasing danger from the fraying veil, disappointing the Reverend with his cowardice. Flashbacks reveal Lemuel's tragic history. As an enslaved man, he escaped brutal treatment and found Zachariah begging to be transformed into a vampire for true freedom. After transformation, Lemuel returned to find his friend Abraham's body hanging from a tree and slaughtered his former enslaver and other plantation owners in revenge. For years, he traveled with Zachariah's nest, killing and feeding. Another flashback shows Lemuel's turning point in 1950s Midnight. Weary of killing, Lemuel refused to harm a young girl Zachariah presented as a gift. The girl revealed herself as Zilda and used her powers to change Lemuel's vampiric nature, allowing him to feed on energy instead of blood. This gave him the ability to destroy other vampires with a touch, turning his eyes blue. When Lemuel tried convincing Zachariah to change, Zachariah refused and ordered an attack. Lemuel destroyed the attackers and banished all vampires from Midnight. In the present, Zilda's ghost warns Manfred about Zachariah. Investigating the tour bus, Manfred discovers a young woman barely alive, being drained of blood as a mobile food source. The Midnighters prepare for battle. Reverend Sheehan shelters non-supernatural residents, while Fiji and Bobo create a UV weapon using a diamond and concentrated light. At the bar, Zachariah poisons Lemuel with silver-laced blood and orders his vampires to attack. They chain the weakened Lemuel in a room facing east for sunrise to destroy him. During the battle, Olivia demonstrates exceptional combat skills but sustains injuries. Manfred offers to share Zilda's gift with Zachariah in exchange for everyone's safety. Zachariah gathers his vampires to witness the exchange. Instead, Joe retrieves the UV device and flies to the bell tower, generating an enormous UV beam that destroys Zachariah and his entire nest. Olivia finds the poisoned Lemuel chained before sunrise. She offers him her blood rather than just energy, establishing a permanent psychic connection. Her blood strengthens him enough to break free and reach shelter moments before sunlight floods the room. Midnight survives, and Manfred is finally accepted as a true community member, though Creek's father maintains irrational hostility, and the fraying veil continues drawing evil forces toward town. The story opens with Manfred and Creek's relationship remaining complicated by family disapproval. Meanwhile, a mysterious blonde woman named Madeline arrives at a Texas rest stop. A man named Ted offers her a ride, and she explains feeling drawn to Texas's ancient spiritual energy. After they begin kissing roadside, Madeline reveals herself as a succubus with yellow eyes and multiple rows of teeth, devouring Ted and leaving blood splattered across the windshield. Madeline continues to another rest stop where she lures a young man helping with car trouble into the restroom and consumes him. While cleaning up, Manfred interrupts her, having tracked the supernatural disturbance. Joe and Chewie reveal that a succubus hasn't appeared in Midnight for over a century. These creatures possess perpetual glamours, making them appear beautiful, allowing them to seduce victims before devouring them. The trail of bodies threatens unwanted attention. Olivia travels to El Paso for an assassination contract. After executing her target with professional precision, she notices someone following her. She subdues and kidnaps the stalker, Ross Wheeler, bringing him to Midnight. Chaining him in her bathtub, Olivia interrogates him using scalding water. Ross admits her father hired him to track her movements, claiming he only wants to know she's safe. Lemuel finds Olivia during interrogation and drains her overwhelming emotions with his abilities. Through this, Olivia's traumatic past emerges. After her father abandoned the family and cut off support, her stepmother became addicted to prescription medications and sold access to young Olivia to fund the addiction. Olivia warns Ross to tell her father to stop sending messengers or she'll kill them. Bobo prepares for dinner at Fiji's home, which he's transformed into a romantic date with Olivia's encouragement. However, he discovers the sons of Lucifer ransacked his house and spray-painted a red swastika on his wall. Enraged, Bobo checks a hidden door remains locked and rushes to the cartoon saloon. He confronts the bikers, demanding to speak with Peter Lowry. A biker named Calvin mocks him, and Bobo headbutts him, declaring Peter killed both Aubrey and Sheriff Livingston. Calvin calls Bobo a traitor for living among Midnight's diverse residents. Before violence escalates, Fiji arrives and magically yanks a pool stick from Bobo's grasp, preventing him from committing an action he'd regret. Manfred identifies Madeline as the killer. Fiji creates a potion to strip away her glamour. Creek's brother Connor has developed inexplicable hatred for Manfred and follows him, misinterpreting his investigation as inappropriate behavior. The Midnighters converge on the cartoon saloon. Creek sprays the potion into Madeline's mouth, stripping her glamour and revealing her monstrous form. Fiji warns that indiscriminate hunting cannot be tolerated. Madeline charges Lemuel, but is knocked into a tree and flees into the woods. Connor has followed them into the forest, and Madeline pursues him, declaring he deserves what's coming. Lemuel snatches Connor from her grasp as Fiji's corrosive potion consumes Madeline, reducing her to melted black substance. After the crisis, Bobo finally acknowledges his feelings for Fiji and kisses her. Olivia releases Ross with a stern warning. Joe and Chewie express deep concern about the fraying veil drawing increasingly dangerous entities. Connor's suspicious behavior and Madeline's ominous words about him deserving death hint at dark secrets within Creek's family. Manfred discovers a creepy jack-in-the-box on his porch containing a note from Hightower instructing him to meet at an old train station. The creditor has tracked him to Midnight. Zilda advises asking the Midnighters for help, but Manfred contemplates fleeing. Creek refuses to leave without her brother Connor. Manfred promises to stay if she remains by his side. He sells his family heirlooms to gather money, and Bobo provides him a handgun. Creek asks Olivia to help protect Manfred, and Olivia provides the remaining cash needed to pay Hightower, expecting repayment later. The Sons of Lucifer execute a coordinated attack, throwing a Molotov cocktail through the pawn shop window. While Bobo and Lemuel fight the fire, bikers drug and kidnap Fiji. Mr. Snuggly eventually alerts Bobo to the abduction. Peter Lowry calls demanding Bobo's parents' weapons stash and money in exchange for Fiji. Peter reveals Bobo comes from a wealthy white supremacist family. At 17, Bobo witnessed his father bomb a church outside Atlanta. That night, Bobo fled, stealing their extensive weapons cache and fortune before hiding everything in an underground bunker beneath his Midnight property. Peter instructed Aubrey to get close to Bobo specifically to discover this arsenal's location. Fiji awakens in a shipping container. Peter monitors her through a camera, having placed a fentanyl patch on her neck to prevent spellcasting. Olivia and Manfred find Hightower's daughter Violet's corpse at the train station. Hightower attacks with telekinetic force. Under pressure, Manfred confesses the complete story. Hightower wanted magical power for his bloodline and made a deal with Zilda. Manfred would marry Violet for $100,000. The night before the wedding, they abandoned Violet and fled with the money. 3 weeks later, Violet took her own life. Manfred explains they burned through the money paying for Zilda's chemotherapy treatments. Manfred summons Violet's spirit. She reveals the truth. She didn't kill herself because Manfred left her, but because her father used her as a pawn while caring nothing for her well-being. Violet possesses Manfred to confront Hightower directly, telling him he was responsible for her misery. Unable to bear the guilt, Hightower turns his powers on himself, ending his own life. Bobo loads the weapons cache and drives to meet the Sons of Lucifer, where they brutally beat him. Lemuel has hidden beneath the truck and accompanies him to the compound. Peter forces Bobo into the container with Fiji, explaining Aubrey's relationship was orchestrated for information. He threatens to bury Fiji alive. Lemuel launches a devastating assault, slaughtering most gang members despite absorbing numerous gunshots. He frees Bobo and Fiji, though oxygen has dropped dangerously low. Fiji creates a breathable air bubble despite the fentanyl. Peter confronts Bobo in hand-to-hand combat. Bobo disarms Peter and kills him with his own knife. Before escaping, Bobo destroys the entire weapons cache with a grenade. Bobo explains his history to Fiji. He only sat in the car during the bombing, horrified when he realized what was happening. He stole the weapons to prevent their use against innocent people. Fiji believes him, but needs time to process this revelation. Olivia angrily confronts Lemuel for risking his life, though her anger stems from deep concern. Creek tells Manfred she informed her father about their relationship and forgives his past. However, cracks appear in the pavement outside Manfred's house. An armadillo near these cracks suddenly dies, hinting at malevolent forces seeping through the weakening veil beneath Midnight. The deteriorating veil continues affecting Midnight as teenagers vandalize various locations. Fiji scares them away with magic, but they speed off in panic, accidentally leaving behind a girl named Erin. She attempts walking out of town, but a truck pursues her. She falls to the ground as the driver approaches before the scene cuts away. The next morning, Rev cleans dead insects and animals near expanding pavement cracks. Fiji discovers fresh scratch marks on her leg from Demon Kulkanor's torment. Ryan, one of the vandals, returns looking for Aaron, explaining his friend never came home. Aaron's mother, a judge, has sent a new sheriff and deputies to search for her. The Midnighters organize search parties. Creek mentions noticing bruises on Connor's arm, suspecting their father Sean has been abusing him since firing her from the gas go and doubling Connor's shifts. Bobo discovers a body, not Aaron, but Tiffany from Zachariah's vampire nest. Manfred channels her spirit, and Tiffany reveals seeing a face with a mask. Bobo notices similarities to Aubrey's corpse, suggesting the same killer is responsible. Rev tells Joe the others need to know about the fraying veil, but Joe refuses, insisting revealing a fallen angel's presence would attract demonic forces. Fiji experiences increasing paranormal harassment, while other Midnighters report similar supernatural activity. Connor is found wandering disoriented and collapses. He claims someone hit him while searching for the missing girl. Rev reveals Midnight sits atop a veil between the living and dead that's rapidly deteriorating, warning the town could become a portal for evil forces. Lemuel and Manfred follow blood scent and discover Creek's father Sean standing over Aaron's body. They bring both back to town. Aaron is alive but injured. The Midnighters hold Sean captive, assuming he killed Aubrey, Tiffany, and attacked Aaron. Sean refuses to defend himself. Manfred visits the level home and is drawn to Connor's room where spirits scream. He discovers the skull mask from Aubrey's memories hidden in a floor vent. Aaron confirms Connor was her attacker, explaining she fought back with a rock after he struck her with a metal pipe. Creek, believing Connor is a victim, helps him escape before learning the truth. Sean reveals he's been protecting Connor, knowing about the killings but unable to lose his son after losing his wife. As Creek drives, Connor defends his actions and attempts crashing into oncoming traffic. Joe arrives, revealing his wings and stopping the vehicle with divine light. Connor flees, but Lemuel catches and drains his blood, ending his life. Aaron recovers and promises positive testimony about Midnight before leaving. Creek confronts Sean, declaring she wants nothing to do with him for failing her by protecting Connor's secret. Joe warns that revealing his angelic powers exposed him to forces now searching for him. He contacts Chewie, telling him to stay away for safety. The veil continues fraying, and darkness around Midnight grows stronger. A flashback shows Joe and his mentor Bowie millennia ago surveying battle aftermath against demons emerging from a breaking veil. Bowie relished demon slaughter and encouraged Joe, though he lacked her fervor. Another flashback shows Joe at a marketplace witnessing traders attack a man named Chewie. Joe intervened with his wings, discovering Chewie had black blood, a demon trait. When Joe asked why Chewie didn't fight back, Chewie responded compassionately, contradicting everything Bowie taught about demons being inherently evil. This changed Joe's perspective forever. In the present, Bowie travels toward Midnight, killing a demon without mercy. Creek returns to work at the diner despite Manfred's concern. Chewie has returned despite Joe's warning, arguing they should reveal everything and ask for help. Manfred experiences increasing supernatural disturbances while Fiji suffers continued demonic harassment from Kulkanor. Bowie arrives and confronts Rev at the church, demanding Joe's whereabouts. She slams him against the wall, reading his memories by touching his forehead before throwing him through a window. Manfred spots her and warns Joe, who escapes with Chewie to Olivia's panic room. At an emergency meeting, Joe reveals Bowie pursues him because of his relationship with Chewie, who is half demon. His father assaulted his mother, who taught Chewie to suppress his demonic nature. Joe and Chewie have been together for centuries. Joe explains he can't defeat Bowie alone since she's older and more powerful. Chewie cannot help without unleashing his demon side. The last time took Joe 3 years to bring him back to normal. Bowie takes hostages at the diner. Using Creek's phone to deliver an ultimatum, Joe must surrender or she'll execute hostages. Lemuel and Olivia discuss their relationship, with Olivia revealing she has no interest in becoming a vampire, devastating Lemuel. Joe privately tells Manfred about the ancient prophecy. When the veil tears, a hero with the gift of vision will lead an army and seal the veil forever. Joe believes this leader is Manfred. The Midnighters plan to trap Bowie using Fiji's mirror portal. Zilda possesses Manfred so Bowie cannot read his mind. Joe confronts Bowie, who reveals she's also a fallen angel, cast out for rage and bloodlust. While Joe distracts her, Fiji opens the portal. Lemuel rushes Bowie toward the mirror, but she shatters it with angelic light, destroying the trap. Joe attacks Bowie aerially, crashing through the church roof. They fight brutally until Bowie gains the upper hand. Unable to watch Joe die, Chewie transforms into his monstrous demon form and kills Bowie with savage brutality. Demon Chewie immediately seeks a new victim, targeting Manfred. Joe wrestles Demon Chewie down, using angelic light and begging him to remember their love. Slowly, Chewie returns to human form. Chewie confesses he must leave Midnight. His demon side grows stronger as the veil deteriorates, and he can't trust himself. Creek tells Manfred she needs time alone to discover who she is outside her family and breaks up with him. Unable to cope, Manfred packs and flees Midnight despite being the prophesied leader. Fiji breaks down, and when Bobo tells her he loves her, she responds awkwardly, unable to say it back. The veil continues fraying with their prophesied savior gone. Following Manfred's departure, a faceless supernatural being begins its journey toward Midnight, praying to its master at a deserted cemetery. When a priest approaches offering help, the creature reveals it has no face, tells him he's praying to the wrong deity, and slashes his throat. The demon peels off the priest's face and wears it as its own. Manfred drives away while Zilda's spirit pleads with him to return. He refuses, planning to drown his sorrows in Las Vegas. His RV breaks down on a desolate road, leaving him stranded without food, water, or medication. Flashbacks reveal Manfred's childhood with Zilda, bullied for playing with dead children's spirits. His mother left him with Zilda because she couldn't understand his abilities. Zilda taught him not to play with spirits in front of others and promised to help him navigate his gift. In Midnight, the veil's deterioration manifests disturbingly. Lemuel's blood hunger intensifies. While feeding on Olivia's energy, he becomes fixated on drinking her blood. She burns him with silver before he can act. Rev abandons his vegetarian diet and eats raw meat, giving in to carnivorous instincts. Fiji continues tormented by Colconnor's voice. A distraught woman arrives, steals an atham, and runs to the crossroads, attempting to stab herself as a sacrifice. The Midnighters stop her, realizing the demon feeds on death and despair. Creek stays at Fiji's house, unable to return home. When Creek asks Lemuel to leech her pain, Olivia intervenes and chases her off. Lemuel becomes angry at Olivia's possessiveness. Their relationship grows increasingly strained. Stranded without cell signal, Manfred walks toward civilization, inadvertently heading toward Midnight. Painkiller withdrawal symptoms worsen. Flashbacks show Zilda dying of cancer, taking pills to end her life on her own terms. In the present, Manfred collapses from dehydration. Zilda's spirit reveals she had a vision showing Midnight in flames with people dying and Manfred in the center. She tells him he has power to stop what's coming. With her message delivered, her spirit is finally free to move on. The faceless demon continues killing, stealing faces. Manfred flags down the demon's stolen truck. Inside, he sees the faceless spirits of victims and realizes who's driving. The demon speaks about helping its master rise, the one ushering in the beginning of the end. When it realizes Manfred knows too much, they struggle violently. Manfred rips off the demon's stolen face, revealing the blank horror underneath, and throws himself from the vehicle. Manfred hides among dead bodies in the truck bed and calls to warn the Midnighters. The demon arrives, dumping bodies at the crossroads and preparing to burn them as sacrifice to Colconnor. The Midnighters restrain it and knock away the lighter. The demon tells Fiji that when its master rises, she will belong to him. The ground splits open as flames erupt, completing the sacrifice. The demon lunges at Fiji, attempting to drag her into the opening. Manfred summons the murdered victim's spirits, who swarm the creature and drag it back to the underworld. Despite this victory, the sacrifices were completed, and Colconnor's power has grown significantly. Manfred tells Creek he's decided to stay and fight, accepting his role. The veil continues fraying as Colconnor draws closer to breaking through completely. With Colconnor's power growing, the demon manifests a presence only Fiji can see. She loses control and hurls fire at the invisible demon, nearly incinerating Bobo and Manfred. Lemuel and Bobo restrain her until she calms down. Joe tells Manfred about Shaman Katori, who sealed the veil during the last demonic incursion and is buried beneath the church. An ominous sandstorm forms on the horizon. Joe explains this manifests the barrier breaking down. Manfred urges Creek to evacuate. Flashbacks reveal Fiji's arrival in Midnight 10 years earlier with completely different appearance. She came to stay with Aunt Mildred after leaving college following rage blackouts where she torched a hospital room and shattered dormitory windows. Aunt Mildred welcomed her and began teaching her the truth. Fiji is a witch whose powers need training. As the sandstorm approaches, Manfred, Joe, and Rev dig frantically to reach the shaman's burial box. Creek attempts driving out, but her car breaks down. The sandstorm brings wraith-like demonic spirits whose touch burns flesh. Bobo and Olivia encounter wraiths, one burning Bobo's skin. Flashbacks show Fiji meeting Jeremy, who fell in love with her despite knowing she was a witch. One evening, as they became intimate, Fiji's emotions intensified beyond control. Her magical powers surged uncontrollably, and Jeremy began burning from the inside. Aunt Mildred found Jeremy's body consumed by magical fire. He died in agony while Fiji watched helplessly. This is why Fiji has remained a virgin, too terrified to risk hurting anyone else. The group reaches the burial box but discovers it's empty. The spirit moved on long ago. Everyone gathers at Fiji's house. Manfred suggests fleeing using Zachariah's vampire bus. Fiji panics about Mr. Snuggly, and Manfred goes back inside. Creek returns to town just in time, and Manfred jumps into her vehicle with the cat. They're shocked when Mr. Snuggly speaks sarcastically. The group drives out in the vampire bus, but the sandstorm follows them relentlessly. They take shelter at the cartoon saloon. Fiji reveals the truth. Colconnor wants her because she's a virgin witch. As witches age while remaining virgins, their magical power increases exponentially. She explains what happened with Jeremy, then flees in humiliation. Olivia tells Lemuel she's leaving Midnight permanently once Fiji is safe. She loves him, but cannot continue after he nearly forced her to become a vampire. Manfred and Fiji discover an ancient ritual requiring a blood sacrifice to contact the shaman. Rev volunteers, but Mr. Snuggly interrupts, announcing he wants to die. He reveals he's tired of living and misses Aunt Mildred. They prepare the ritual, but instead of Mr. Snuggly dying, Manfred collapses lifeless. Manfred's spirit enters the realm between life and death. Shaman Katori appears, providing crucial information about defeating Colconnor. Manfred's spirit returns to his body and he gasps for air. Outside, the phantom materializes as Jeremy, Fiji's dead boyfriend. The wraith tells her Colconnor will spare her friends if she comes willingly. Overwhelmed by guilt and desperate to protect those she loves, Fiji slips out into the storm. The Jeremy wraith leads her toward Colconnor. By the time the Midnighters discover she's gone, Fiji is already disappearing into the apocalyptic sandstorm, walking willingly toward the demon. The Midnighters pursue Fiji through the vampire bus as dead animals litter the streets. The wraith Jeremy tells Fiji that Colconnor intends relations with her during the blood moon to break the veil permanently and spawn demons. Fiji realizes the creature is merely using Jeremy's appearance. All wraiths transform to take Jeremy's form, surrounding her house. The Midnighters walk into town like warriors. Manfred outlines their plan: save Fiji, destroy the demon, close the portal, and survive. Lemuel, covered in protective clothing, complains his flesh is burning. Rev has blessed their weapons with holy water. The group splits. Bobo, Creek, and Olivia head toward Fiji's house, while Manfred, Lemuel, and Joe go to the pawn shop. A Jeremy wraith grabs Olivia from behind, leaving devastating burns across her abdomen. Bobo and Creek get her inside, but Fiji's salves prove useless. Creek decides to take Olivia to the hospital. Before leaving, Olivia asks Creek to tell Lemuel she would have come back to him, that she loves him and regrets their conflicts. At the pawn shop, Manfred searches for items with the darkest demonic energy. The shaman told him to fight evil, he must know evil. Lemuel helps locate malevolent objects: a murder knife, voodoo artifacts, cursed items. Before attempting possession, Manfred calls Creek and they exchange "I love yous." Manfred reveals his plan: allow evil spirits from these objects to possess him simultaneously, giving him demonic power to fight Colconnor. He strikes a bargain. If they help defeat Colconnor, he'll free them to the afterlife. Multiple demonic entities surge into his body, turning his eyes black. Inside Fiji's house, she tells Bobo her plan to give herself to Colconnor and kill him with her uncontrolled power. Bobo proposes a different solution. If Fiji is no longer a virgin, Colconnor has no use for her. He asks to make love with her. Fiji protests, terrified she'll kill him like Jeremy. Bobo insists he trusts her completely and isn't afraid. As the blood moon rises, Colconnor emerges. Manfred, possessed by demons with black eyes, confronts him, launching fireballs. Joe fights Jeremy wraiths outside. Inside, Fiji and Bobo consummate their relationship. Bobo doesn't burn, Fiji's control holds. At that moment, Colconnor senses the change and becomes enraged. The Jeremy wraiths vanish. Lemuel retrieves another artifact, a shrunken head. Manfred absorbs its power, his eyes bleeding. Manfred and Colconnor clash with fire and dark magic. Channeling all demonic power, Manfred unleashes a devastating attack that banishes Colconnor back through the veil. Manfred fulfills his bargain, expelling the possessing spirits. He collapses, shaking. At the hospital, Olivia hovers at death's door. Lemuel arrives and gives her his blood. Her wounds close instantly, and she opens her eyes. Outside, Madonna makes a quiet phone call about Olivia's condition. She's been spying for Olivia's father. Creek and Manfred reconcile. Rev performs a wedding ceremony for Olivia and Lemuel with all their friends present, including Chewie, who has returned. The next morning, Manfred wakes with blood trickling from his ear, permanent damage from concentrated evil. Heavy construction equipment rolls into Midnight with a familiar logo from Manfred's medication bottle. Developers plan to revitalize the town. The veil is sealed, but new forces are moving into Midnight and the town's troubles are far from over.